My name is Raymond Keane and I'm Artistic Director of Barabbas Theater Company, which is based in Dublin, Ireland. My latest piece of work is called Circus. It is a non-verbal circus show. It's obviously, the name sort of tells you what it is, but it is actually about the circus, and it is also a love story. The inspiration came from, in fact, a 1957 movie, which was by Fellini, called La Strada, which is the story of travelling street players and circus players. I decided to take that, the central notion of that, and make a theatre piece out of it. But this actually takes place within the circus. My interest is in non-verbal theatre, and at the core of everything that I do is the sensibility of theatre of clown. I'm a storyteller, and I decided to take this genre of circus and see if I could tell a story with that. It's a very simple story about love, loss and redemption. We're invited into the theatre, which is now decked out looking like a circus, so it's kind of looking at the notion of, placing drama in circus, placing storyline in circus. So when we come into the theatre, we come into this environment that is, we know it's a theatre, we very much know it's a theatre, but it has this circus quality about it. There are 4 performers in the show, and one of them is a musician who composed the music as well, a very, very talented composer by the name of Trevor Knight, who I've worked with on and off over the years. He's made music for a lot of my shows. We have 2 core central performers. It's a 2-man circus, or 3-man circus in fact, if you count a musician. It's a small town, touring around, it gives the impression that it's touring around. It's not a very good circus, pretty crude actually at the top, pretty poor skills, but as the show goes on, an event takes place that seems to transform these 2 guys' lives and their skills and their circus, until there is love gets in the way. And I think that's about as much as I should tell you right now, otherwise you're not going to know what's going to happen at the end of the show. How the piece goes about telling its story or its narrative is actually, it's non-verbal acting, but it's also, what was really excited me about as I began to make this show and devise it, if you like, and rehearse it is that I wanted to take this kind of very exotic world of circus, this very seductive world of circus, this glamorous world sometimes. This show can be glamorous and unglamorous at the same time, but this notion about how we're seduced by this circus world, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could take those skills that we find in circus and tell the story through the skills. So it's not just the skill that we're watching all the time. If somebody juggles, if somebody does a piece of trapeze, if somebody does a silk or tissue number, if you like, I wanted to put a narrative into everything, all of those skills. And it seems as if it's been successful, because the people have responded incredibly strong to the show. It's been really well received right across the board, which is really nice for me. And I think that's the thing that people, were most surprised by, actually, that, there are shows out there, there are circus shows out there. There is fantastic circus in this side of the world. If you go up to Canada, you have Cirque du Soleil, which is just like mind-blowingly skillful. And in Cirque du Soleil shows, there is narrative to an extent, in a lot of their shows, but it may be more thematic. But in this show, this circus show, it actually has the same arc as a drama. And that was, I didn't know it was going to work, but that was what I needed to do, a couple of years ago when I went to this show. Actually, this show began way before that. I had the idea for it about 15 years ago, actually, because La Strada, the Fellini movie, that is sort of loosely, well, I robbed it actually from Fellini, that notion that his trinity of players are still within this show, which is essentially the fool, the brute, and the angel. or as what I like to say, the clown angel. So, you know, it has for me, I suppose, even surprised myself that it works so well in the end. Well, one of the most interesting things that I found actually working in this circus genre, the idea of the ring and the audience seated in a circle or surrounding the performance. I didn't understand the power of that actually until well into the run of the show, in fact. And when we sit in a circle, we say there are no highs and no lows. We sit opposite each other, so we see each other, and we share the performance together. A very democratic way of experiencing, a very communal way of experiencing theatre. And that to me became, wow, that's a really profound way of looking at what theatre is, because essentially that's what it is, we're sharing. That's why we go to the movie cinema as well, as opposed to sitting at home perhaps. We like to share it with other people, and share, you know, and the circus, I suppose, heightens that. It turns the gas mark up in that. It also, of course, gives you, you know, the permission, I suppose, to work physically huge in circus. It gives you permission to wow people with skills as well. And we are wowed by skills. We do love it when somebody performs an incredible feat. And I suppose, well, you know, and again, I speak from a theatre person. It's not, this isn't surprising for a circus person, but for a theatre person, what we get to do in circus is work not just ground level. We get to work in the air as well. So we're acting in the air. That's kind of rare in the theatre world. You know, people have to walk. They can't fly off the ground, but circus allows you to do that. So it opens, for me, it opens up the stage in this way, in the circle, and perpendicular. It's very exciting for a theatre maker to have access to that amount of space. What's for me very nice about this show is that it's suitable for all ages, from, you know, well, let's say 3 years of age up to 93, if you like. It is a very simple story. It's a very easy story to understand, even though it's non-verbal. It's beautiful at times. It can be crude at times, as in crude as in bad skills, whatever. But it grows in beauty over the course of the events that take place. What I've really enjoyed about this show is the reaction afterwards, well, obviously during as well, but it's, you know, I like love. I think love is a great thing, and this show explores it in, I think, in a very, very pure and good way. And some of the most, I suppose, surprising reactions is that people who some people who know me, some people who don't me, actually have come to me after the show and hugged me with tears in their eyes, out of beauty, which is pretty. That's the first time that's happened to me after a show. Now, there's a darkness in the shows where there's some dark qualities about it as well, but, you know, and we're left in a place at the end, while incredibly beautiful, it is, you know, there's some loss there as well. But, you know, it's a treat actually when you get people from very young age to whatever age you like, you know, that they all seem to enjoy it and get the same, I suppose, same thing out of it. You know, everybody seems to understand what's going on from 3 years of age to 93.